episode of the Soul Hoops podcast. My name is Jeffrey, and I'm joined, as always, by Matthias and Ryan. Here, bringing you a great episode here on Saturday, January 20th. We're going to be talking about different trades that have gone down, rumors, and then we'll just be talking about teams around the league today. Before we get into the basketball, Ryan, Matthias, how are you guys doing today?
Doing all right. I've had COVID forever. Feels like I was exposed a week from yesterday, so it's been quite some time. I'm getting bored, but I'm back and I'm ready to talk some basketball.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
No, yeah, good to see you're doing well, but I've kind of just been in the house as well. There's been the snowstorm. Pullman got hit by it pretty bad. It was like, I walk into work at like negative 12 degrees. Car won't start, so you got to walk. Brutal.
Yeah, that's how it's been for us too. Like, I haven't been outside too much, obviously, but
yeah,
when I have been outside, they say you get used to the cold weather, but like the negative 10 degrees, negative 5 degrees, like it hits you bad every single time you walk out.
Especially if there's any wind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been. Well, obviously, me and Ryan live in close proximity, but it's been brutal in the Midwest. I mean, I was on vacation 2 weeks ago in Florida, and then I came home. I was supposed to come home, and it got delayed because of the big snowstorm. So my flight got canceled.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe this matches up, but like when I was in Wisconsin, like Milwaukee area, like a couple weeks ago. A huge snowstorm.
Yeah, it was it was that same week. Because so our flight got canceled, so we had to fly in the next day. So I had to stay in a hotel, share a bed with my brother because can't get we're not gonna buy 5 hotel rooms on one night's notice. Rates are insane. So get no sleep. Have to get up at 4 a.m. to go back to the airport. I get no sleep. So I've been up since 2 a.m. I fly in and I get home and immediately can't do anything because we had to shovel our driveway at our house
to get
out from 2 feet of snow. Because how my driveway is there's my driveway is flat, and then the house next to me is on this raised little curve. So their driveway's above us. So all the snow is just blowing from their driveway onto ours. And my grandma was watching our pets, but my grandma's 70 years old. She can't be out there hauling snow. So we were shoveling out all the cars, and then all the snow drifts, and it was all frozen together. So that took 2.5 hours right when I got home. It was brutal. Slept for 4 hours after that. So, but the cold is the worst part. But you know what I am happy about? I hate when it's cold, but it doesn't look cold outside. Which is what we've been having lately. Before this last couple of weeks, where it's you walk outside and there's no snow, there's no rain, it's just sunny. But then you walk outside and it's 5 degrees, and it's at least if I walk out right now, I know it looks miserable outside.
No, for sure. Seeing the snow definitely it adds to the fun. I've been out sledding. I built an igloo.
Oh, nice.
So it's been fun. I've been up to. Have you guys had any falls? I've had a couple comedic falls in the ice.
I have not yet.
I forgot close, but I caught myself. Yeah.
I forgot my winter boots at home over break, and I am facing the consequences.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's bad. It's been bad, but.
All right. Well, I think we can get right into the basketball. So, first thing we're going to be starting off with is Pascal Siakam trade. If you did want to watch the day that the trade happened, I did record a solo video that day. Upload it. It's 15 minutes-ish, I think. Yeah, check that out if you want to go watch the initial reactions without any time to mull over. But Matthias and Ryan, we're not on that, obviously. So I'd like to hear from you guys. What are you guys thinking about the Pascal to Indy fit, what they gave up, all that kind of stuff. So I'll leave the floor to you guys.
Yeah. Well, Matthias, you want to start or should I take it?
I can go if you want.
Go ahead.
I'm not surprised necessarily by this move at all. I don't know if anybody was.
We had that.
We did have it first. Our sources had it first, I guess. I think I remember saying to you guys, oh, Shams tweeted he's going to Sacramento. That means he's going to Indy. Like, I don't know. They had the pieces. The reason they signed Bruce Brown to that deal was as trade bait. So, and I think they did I think the Pacers won this by a good amount.
Mhm.
And
I agree.
I know they lost to the Blazers last night on the first night, but
Whatever.
they got an all-star player for basically nothing. And I don't want to like say Bruce Brown is basically nothing, but he's one of those superstar role players, right? Elite role players.
Yeah.
But
he isn't nothing, but also like they didn't give anybody up to get him. They signed him as a free agent. You know, you're fine with losing him because you know like the value is an upgrade. You aren't losing anything.
Yeah. And I don't think they value those picks
No.
too heavy because they're not going to be in a position to really strike in the lottery or anything for a while now because they have a window piece of Halliburton. So it's like, why not invest? And honestly, if anything goes like worse, they have Miles Turner. That's a piece they would move first if Pascal resigns and it's like for some reason something's not working, the chemistry's not there. They have a contract that's tradable to get other assets with Miles Turner. So I don't know. I think they are in a really good position. I'm really liking where Indy's at.
Yeah, I'm liking it too. I'm glad that they were aggressive and they made a move for a star player because I think they looked around and said, "Hey, we've created some separation from some of the teams underneath us." Like right now, it's looking pretty. There's still half a season left, right? We're only halfway through, but right now it's looking like Indiana is going to be in the playoffs. Like I'm pretty confident they'll be in a first round playoff series. But with just Halliburton and then all the other guys they had, like I don't think you really have much of a chance against a lot of these teams. But I think Pascal gives you a chance, like against Milwaukee, against Philly, against Miami, New York. Like if things break right, I think Pascal just makes them such a better team, gives them a second offensive option, like a real second offensive option. Because sometimes it was Buddy Hield, sometimes it was Miles Turner, sometimes it would be Mathurin, Obi Toppin, but now Pascal is like your solidified number 2 guy. He adds a lot to that team. Like it's really a seamless fit, Pascal on Indiana.
And I don't think it was necessarily their last night. Sorry, but real quick, I think he adds to their defensive capabilities.
Yeah,
something that they really, really need.
Pascal isn't like a lockdown defender, but he's got length. He's a really smart player. Pascal is a very smart player. He can switch and defend multiple positions. He's even at his worst defensively, he's still an upgrade over a lot of these guys they're throwing out there, like Obi Toppin, for example, Jalen Smith, like just not good defensive players. So defensively, he helps a ton. Offensively, I think he'll fit in pretty seamless. If you remember, like Pascal earned a role in the NBA by getting out in transition and sprinting up and down the court every single time his team got the ball. So as far as playing heavy minutes in this kind of offense where he's running a lot, he should be a perfect fit. And with Halliburton and the spacing that Indiana has, he'll have way more spacing than he ever did in Toronto, which means like driving lanes are clearer for him. There are more players to pass to. I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, it's a really, really good fit. And no disrespect to Kyle Lowry or whoever played for Toronto, but Halliburton also is the best person to set up Pascal in his career.
Yeah.
Right. He's probably one of the best guards at setting up open shots in the league. So
easily, yeah.
So it's one of those things where Pascal's going to be playing theoretically in the easiest place of his career, which is great. And hopefully some of that energy can be put into defense or rebounding, and he can unlock another aspect of his game. And I really like this from Indiana because we've talked about it a couple of times before with some other young teams that show potential. Grizzlies didn't do it. They had jaw pieces. They didn't buy it. They didn't trade for a big piece. OKC is another team right now that could trade for a piece. But Indy's kind of like showing like, yeah, we're gonna run with Halliburton. We're gonna try to build a roster around him, and we're not gonna try to dilly-dally. Because if you sit on assets too long, they will depreciate. Like players' values goes up and down.
Yeah.
And it's like very, very fast. Very, very fast.
That's
And
why they were able.
I know.
That's why they were able to get Pascal at this discount in the first place, because Masai sat on the asset for too long.
Yep.
You mentioned how it's a steal for Indy, and I don't know if I'd say a steal yet, just because we still don't really know what Pascal is thinking about the summer long term.
Sure.
Like
They did say that this was one of the places where he was communicated that he would be open to signing a deal this summer.
Okay. So there's optimism a deal will get done,
Yeah,
but we
but
don't
still
know
a question mark. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think Indiana just gives him the max. Like I don't think they do that. Like there's going to be some more things that are involved in that process, but yeah, to give up Bruce Brown, who, like I said earlier, you didn't get for free because you paid him a lot, but also like you didn't have to give up any other players to get him. So you added that asset to your team through free agency, and now you flipped it for a better one. Like that's a great move. And the picks, I think you're fine giving up those picks for Pascal Siakam, especially like for this year's draft where everyone's saying it's not as good, or like this isn't the draft you want to tank for. I'm fine with them giving up 2 firsts from this year's draft and then a first from 2026. I think you have to make this deal if it's on the table for this price if you're Indiana. And they did.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I was shocked when I opened the trade details. I was like, what?
The picks they gave.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
The picks that they gave up are almost non-valuable. The 2026 pick that they gave up will be intriguing depending on where they fall in 2 years, but I can't see this team being bad in 2 years.
2 years is the last year of Halliburton's contract, right?
No, he just extended 5 years. Right?
Oh, he did. So he's got 4 more then.
Yeah. So Halliburton will be there. You bring in Pascal, even if you don't keep Pascal, like even if you lose him after this year, I'd rather take this gamble, like honestly. And you didn't give up any young pieces for it, which I think is the biggest thing. Like they didn't have to give up Nimhard, they didn't have to give up Mathen, they didn't have to give up Jarris Walker. And I'd rather give up 3 first-round picks than give up on one of those guys, especially considering 2 of those picks are this year. Like you know you're gonna be in the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the picks is literally like a swap between like OKC, Clippers, Jazz, or something like that.
Yeah,
like it's going to be like the 28th pick, man.
It's a shitty pick. Yeah.
Like you have no use for that pick, and you have no use for you have a use for Pascal. So really, there's no reason not to. The biggest thing I did come from this report that came after I recorded my video is that there was like league rumblings are saying that like there's a lot of players that want to go that would be interested in playing with Tyrese, which I feel like we hear that a lot. But I think that this just shows that Indiana is committed to winning now. Like they're not going to just let everything grow and bank on that, which like OKC is currently doing that. Like I would really like it if OKC would try to make some moves, honestly, with the asset pool they have. Like, could you imagine right now if OKC got Pascal, because they could give you 3 first-round picks, you wouldn't even be comparing it the asset pool. Like, I mean, it's just really interesting to see. I don't know what'll.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I mean, I just think it's from the Indiana's perspective. I just don't think there's really what's the downside to this move? You're probably declining Bruce Brown's player option next year, anyways, or your team option.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're probably gonna only have him the rest of this year, and I don't know. How do you like this from the other side of it, though? Like the Raptors side? You could go with
the Raptors side. Oh my god, all right, my lighting's all messed up. My cat's messing with the wire.
No, you're good.
From the Raptors side, I mean, you're fully in the Scotty era, right? And that's what we asked. We asked for a direction. God. Okay, I just might have bad lighting all the time. But we said in the beginning with our team breakdowns in the off season, we just wanted the Raptors like either trade Scotty, which is a bad decision in my opinion, or trade Pascal and OG, and they finally chose a direction, albeit probably a year too late. But I mean, I like it. I think you get a good role player that fits well with Scotty and IQ and RJ Barrett, and you got picks and you look for the draft and you rebuild.
Yeah, like I think all things considered, the Raptors did fine here. They could have and probably should have traded both of these guys either last trade deadline or sometime in the off season, because we have a lot of reports saying that we have reports of what they could have gotten for OG like last trade deadline, and it's a 4 first-round pick package from New Orleans or Memphis, or like you probably sat in these assets for too long if you're Masai Ujiri. But all things considered, I think they did fine. Maybe they got a little bit less than expected with this Pascal Siakam trade, but that's also okay because they got more than expected with the OG trade. And this trade kind of symbolizing the end of that era of that championship team, and you're kind of really embracing Scotty Barnes as the new face of your franchise and surrounding him with players like Bruce Brown, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, guys that fit his play style. You're bringing in picks to kind of accelerate your rebuild, or they aren't even in a rebuild because they're farther ahead in their rebuild than some teams who have been rebuilding for 5 years are, like the Pistons, right?
Yeah.
They're already farther ahead than that from a team like that.
They already have their center point. Theoretically,
Yeah.
Scotty, like he's their one is their goal.
Yeah. So
and they already have a 2 and a 3. Like I like it.
I don't think they got robbed here, like a lot of people think. I think Toronto is coming out of this feeling fine and just feeling good about where they're at. I do think Bruce Brown is a player that could get traded. Probably will get traded. We'll talk about him later in the episode when we get into some trade candidates. But yeah, I'm feeling fine about where Toronto comes out of this. It's definitely weird for them to say goodbye to Pascal Siakam because he's been there for so long. Was the last player from that championship team still on, like, in the organization. So it's hard to just say goodbye to that, but they did it, and I'm excited for what's to come for Toronto basketball long term.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you look at the cumulative assets that they acquired for the two, I don't think you were getting close to that's just a crazy level of players. Like, I just don't think you're getting, even if they traded them last year when they probably should have for like picks wise, I don't think you were getting a quality of player, multiple players to the quality of RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley.
And Bruce Brown.
And Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And you brought up a good point, Ryan. Bruce Brown will probably get moved again, but he's someone that people would overpay for. Like, and for a good reason. Like, he's shown that he can be a super valuable piece to a contending team. So if there's anybody that's top seed or outskirts of the top seeds, they might overpay. And Toronto could walk away with a young asset for Bruce Brown or way too many picks. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was all the same points I have. Well, we can move into the next player that's been really blowing up on rumors recently is DeJounte Murray. He's been, he was directly asked about the trade rumors like a week ago. He said, I'm going to keep it professional. I'm still going to come out and play good basketball, and, whatever happens. It's just nature of the business, which was good to hear from him that he's still, in a good kind of space after all the stuff that's been going on with Atlanta and the trade rumors and a lot of that stuff. So that's good to hear. But the big thing that happened was yesterday, Chris Haynes tweeted out that the Milwaukee Bucks are interested in acquiring DeJounte. It would be the player package is not really the problem. Like, we have the salary to match. I think where it comes into is if you're Atlanta, what value does that assets do you have? Probably zero. And you're gonna have to find other teams to take on the players. Probably, you're probably gonna have to find it would be Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton, maybe Marjan. But what value does that and 2 second-round picks really have to the Hawks? Who, unless they're gonna go full rebuild and trade Trae Young, which I doubt they're doing,
They're not going to do that.
you're looking for pieces that are gonna help you surround Trae Young, and putting bad defenders around Trae Young. Probably not a valuable. So I don't know. You'd probably have to find a team to take that on. So
Yeah. DeJounte Murray, he's an interesting trade candidate because I think he's a bit polarizing. Depending on who you talk to, he's either very overrated or he's very underrated, or some people just don't even care. Like, I think right now he's playing really well. He's hit back-to-back game winners in the last week with these games. Like last night, he hit that 3 against Miami, and the game before that, it was that long 2 against Orlando, sealed the game. Like, he's playing well, and overall, the Atlanta Hawks have been playing somewhat better in this last week, 2 weeks. But I still think he's going to get traded. Where is difficult because, yeah, Chris Haynes tweeted out that breaking news about the Milwaukee thing, and like, I guess it's like a fine fit for that team. Like, they need defense, they need another guard, they need depth, whatever. But what are they giving up? You said Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, maybe Marjan.
And then it would be Portland's second-round pick this year, which will essentially be pretty much a late first.
Yeah.
And then a 2027 second-round pick is the other pick they could trade. So
yeah, I don't love that for Atlanta, like, obviously compared to what other teams could offer them. It also is a bit difficult, I think, because what they want in return for DeJounte Murray will say a lot about what they're thinking about this franchise overall. Atlanta, like, they do kind of have to pick a direction, whether they want to commit further to this Trae, Jalen Johnson team, like right now, or whether they want to be fine with giving DeJounte up for players that can help them in the long run, or maybe picks if they just want picks out of this thing, because that's what they gave up to get DeJounte. I don't really know what they're thinking. So I think I guess it's hard to kind of imagine what team he could likely end up on, just because I don't know what the Hawks are doing, I guess, as a plan.
My thing with the Hawks is that they were a team actually that bought in. This DeJounte Murray trade they made a couple years ago, whatever, was supposed to be the buy-in, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But they still have young pieces. Trae's only 25. I don't think, obviously you have to have this conversation with Trae, but it's not necessarily a bad thing management-wise if the Hawks look to retool around him and get young pieces and get a talent pool for 2 years. So even if, say, theoretically they do the Bucks trade and they get Marjan as a young piece, they don't, even if Marjan's not a long-term thing, you have him for a couple years, you talent pool, you see if he grows a little bit, and then you can trade him with a couple of your other young guys or picks and then get a piece around Trae.
Yeah.
Because trading Trae would be dumb.
I'm not into that. I don't think they're ready to do that, and I don't think I'm ready to say that is the answer.
No. And I don't think there's an avenue where they get a win now piece, unless they go for, like, I guess, like, if with a DeJounte Murray trade, I'll say win now piece with DeJounte Murray trade. They could make multiple moves and move off with Murray, and then maybe make a trade for, like, a Jeremy Grant piece or something. I don't know, but it would have to be multiple moves, and they'd have to move multiple teams, and it's just like, I think that they have time to do a multi-year process. Do it now while you can, because other than that, they're gonna have to trade. If you wait a couple more years, they're gonna have to trade Trae.
Yeah, and they've still got young pieces on that team. Like, Trae he's young. He's 25. Like, what, 25? Yeah.
Yeah, he just turned 25, I think.
He's still super young. Jalen Johnson, who's been just great for them all season when he's played. He's what, 21, 22. He's
Yeah.
extremely young. They've got other young guys on the roster. AJ Griffin, we'll see what happens with him. He's had a weird second year.
He like doesn't play.
He doesn't play. Kobe Buffkin just got called up. Apparently, he's been playing great in the G. So he's a young player on that team that has potential. DeAndre Hunter, I'm kind of out on, but Clint Capella, I'm kind of out on. Those guys.
Yeah, I think
those guys need to go too.
Yes, I think 100%. You brought up Clint Capella. DeJounte Murray and Clint Capella need to be, and most likely DeAndre Hunter need to be moved on from.
Yeah, just
preferably this trade deadline, because I know that everyone's talking about this draft sucks, but every time they said that about 2013 and you got Giannis out of it.
They said that about 2022 in that weird COVID year. They were like,
yeah,
there aren't great options, and you got Ant, LaMelo, Halliburton, guys late in the draft too, like Maxey, McDaniels, Desmond Bane, like. So you never really know. Some drafts.
Yeah. I've always said I think that's a good point, because like when draft classes are usually pushed as disappointing draft classes overall, there's less pressure on a lot of the guys that are being drafted to be really, really good players right away. And I think that makes it so it's easier for your expectations to be exceeded. You see this right now with the draft class last year. Everyone said the draft class last year is this generational draft class. Who outside of Wemby has been like really, really good? No one.
Brandon Miller's been, for a rookie. He's been
Brandon Miller's been good, but I mean like
top, been really good. But
yeah, but it's like Scoot's been really disappointing. Amen Thompson, pretty disappointing as well. Asar was the 5th overall pick. He was, had so many rotations. He's been in and out of the rotation. When you're looking at it, it's just like usually when you say a draft class is really good, it's most likely going to disappoint you, probably.
Mm-hmm. Jaime Hawkins has been the second best player from this draft, probably, and he's
but he got drafted late. Let's all be honest. That was that was late. I don't care. I hate the disrespect for four-year college players. Just because they went 4 years doesn't mean their game won't translate. I could go on a rant about it, but no, I think when they talk about like these elite drafts, they talk about the top end talent. They talk about the top end outcomes of the top end talent of the draft. So when they're saying that 2024 is not going to be a good draft, it's going to be one of the worst drafts. It's whatever. It's because they're not looking at the top 10 and going, oh, this guy could be a superstar, and this guy could be a superstar, and this guy has superstar potential. They're going, oh, these top 5 guys might pop, and other than that, scouting wise, a lot of these guys look like role players, which is fine.
Yeah.
Again, a draft full of really good role players is still a good draft. But I think it's just more of people fall in love with the high-end outcome when talking around drafts. And you look at the top guys, a lot of them have question marks about their high-end outcome. So I get it, but still. You need the value for the Hawks. Like, I brought it up like 2013 for a reason. Bad drafts, when there's not good top end talent, is when the good players seep through more, especially with the COVID years. And a lot of these guys haven't played a lot of games, or a lot of their games weren't easily accessible for scouts. There's a lot of question marks everywhere in terms of the consistency of what they're providing.
Yeah.
So Hawks can go lock in, get a good scout on some of these guys, and they could strike out with someone undeservedly falling in the draft, and they could not even have to retool. It takes 1 year. You don't know.
They kind of need to at this point. Like, they need to hit on whatever picks they have, because they just looking at it, like, simply put, they just aren't as well set up as a lot of the other teams that they want to be seen as contemporaries of. So they've got to be able to hit on whatever draft picks they can, and also just be smart with DeJounte Murray. Like, don't trade him to the Lakers because you're pressured into doing it. Like, D'Angelo Russell, if that's your return from DeJounte Murray, like, I'm gonna be pissed off, because you have to have your sights set a bit higher than that. Like, if Quentin Grimes is out there, we were talking about this before the show, Jeff and I. Like, if Quentin Grimes is out there, go get Quentin Grimes.
Yes.
See what other picks you can pry away from New York, even if they aren't very good. Just be smart. That's all I want.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think they got to get a first, at least a first or two for DeJounte. I don't really care about the player that comes back. I'd rather take it if I was them, a worse player, because you're not gonna get it. Like, I don't think you're gonna get a contributor unless there's young talent out there. Like, if Quentin Grimes is available, I think you take that. But D'Angelo
He
Russell,
could be your
like,
start. He could be your starting 2 guard and do what you'd be a better fit as a starting 2 guard.
yes, you'd fit off of Trey, but also like anywhere
Well,
else. I would rather take 2 first-round picks and salary filler. I would rather take Evan Fournier and 2 first-round picks than D'Lo and whatever they provide.
Yes.
If they don't provide the first-round picks.
Yep.
But that's where I was going to go. What teams do you think are offering that multiple picks for DeJounte? And one of the rumors is that teams are scared of the long-term money with him because we look at the contract this year. He's sitting at $18 million for this season. But if you look at that full contract, because he just extended, it's going to be $25 million next year, 26 million, 28 million, and then a player option for $30 million in 2027. I think that's the biggest question mark right now for teams is, are you willing to pay DeJounte Murray $30 million in 5 years or in 3 years? The Knicks might not be willing to.
No.
Especially because they're going to have to pay Brunson coming up because
And
I
OG.
think and OG. Yeah, I forgot that, and they have to pay him this summer.
They got to pay OG this summer. They're going to have to pay Brunson is going to want an extension after next season.
Dude.
Yeah.
Because he's probably going to make All-Star and All-NBA this year. There's a possibility of All-NBA. We don't really know, but he's probably getting an All-Star. He's going to be eligible for a big contract.
Yeah. Deservingly so.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you're probably going to have to pay, if you want to bring Isaiah Hartenstein back, you're probably going to have to pay him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I'm not thinking about that. Like, there's
The
not
Lakers,
a
too.
teams.
Like, the Lakers are a team that does not like tying up long-term money.
No. And that's one of those things where Hawks might have their hands tied with DeJounte for a little bit. They might be
The Bucks don't care. That's the thing. The Bucks ownership group does not care. They do not care.
But I don't know if DeJounte really he'll help, but like,
yeah, I know. I said the same thing. I think DeJounte would be a cool player to get. It'll be super fun, I think. And you load your team with more offensive talent. He helps the defense. Even though his defense has fallen off, I think if he is playing second fiddle, or he's not even playing fiddle, he's the alternate, okay, on offense. I think he can lock in more defensively. That's the hope.
Yeah.
And he's still a good defender. He's just not all NBA or all defense level anymore. But, I think it's interesting to see. I think that's the biggest part is like what team is willing to take on that money and give on multiple picks. The Lakers can't give up multiple picks. They're
what about
the only one they can give up is 2029.
What about Toronto? I know he wouldn't go to a winner, but if you give young talent,
they just traded for Quickly, and they're going to have to pay Quickly.
Yeah, but my thing is they're entering a rebuild, and you have to have a lot of money tied up. Like, it's not one of those things where you can get.
They have to pay Scotty this year too.
What about what about
he didn't extend? They didn't extend him.
Scotty is eligible this summer.
He's
getting the rookie max or whatever it's called.
But money wise, will they be fully tied up at that point? I still think they'll offer money. Like, I'm just saying, Toronto.
I don't know.
There's someone that has to tie up money. It's kind of the same reason the Blazers kind of tied up Jeremy Grant. It's like, I'll come be a vet and help for 4 years because no one wants your contract.
I don't know. What about San Antonio? Because we've heard about them wanting him back.
But he hated on their management. I think the kind of burnt there. I wouldn't
what
doubt
would the deal even look like?
Antonio wants him back, or Hawks want him back. I want to trade him there. Like, it's not
the deal. San Antonio, Keldon Johnson, and
if you are you giving up Keldon Johnson for him? I think he's a negative. I think he's a good player. I think DeJounte Murray is a good player. I just want to put that out there. but I think he is right now, every team that calls the Hawks knows that they have all the leverage in the situation. The Hawks
Yeah.
want to move him.
My thing is,
If San Antonio calls, I don't think you're getting a young player. I think you're getting Devontae Graham and Doug McDermott.
You're getting Cedi Osman. You're getting, but
like,
that's rough.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
because that's what I've been saying. It's like people keep saying about the asset pool, unless the Sixers want to go get him, but they're having so much success moving Maxey to the point guard spot.
Yeah, dude. No. You don't take the ball out of Maxey's hands. My thing is like,
I think
personally, with the San Antonio aspect of it, I think it's time for them. I know it seems so premature. I think Keldon Johnson needs to be moved.
Yeah.
I think Vassell is just like better at what he does. I think they have Branham and they have other pieces, and they're bad. They have to make room for another ball handler, another 2 ball handlers probably. And it's like you don't need a ball like you don't need Keldon Johnson on the roster anymore. I don't think you provide something. I don't think they're losing too much if they put him in that deal. I actually think the picks are what's more is going to suck.
Yeah, I don't think San Antonio would want to give up picks just because they're going to be bad for a little bit and they want to keep on adding guys.
They have a lot of picks.
Yeah, I'm not saying like first or whatever. It might be protected. It might be second.
They could just give Atlanta their picks back.
They could. But in the Sixers, I don't know.
Just take your 2025 pick back.
And even the Miami angle, I don't love Miami fit.
Neither do I really. I don't know.
You can help in some areas, but still, it's like
he's better than Kyle Lowry. That's the argument.
Yeah, but what are you going to deal, Kyle Lowry and picks? I don't think the Hawks want that.
And there are better options like at point guard available out there, if for the Heat to get if they want to add in a new guard, which I think they should probably. So
yeah, they should add a new guard. I just don't think DeJounte is what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to give up your 27 first-round pick. He could trade 2 first-round picks, but I don't know if you're giving up 2 late in the future firsts for DeJounte. And the Heat were being stingy with their assets regarding Damian Lillard, dude. Like,
what about like Brooklyn? Sorry, I'm looking at the standings, just trying to see.
Yeah,
I don't really know, dude.
I've heard about that, but Brooklyn's kind of a mess. I don't really know what's going on there. Just where.
I saw reports that they were
going
to be sellers.
Sellers?
Yeah.
For their role player guys.
Makes sense. Like
I like everyone other than Mikal pretty much.
Yeah, and I think they'll keep Cam Thomas too because I think they see a lot in him still. Whatever, but like Dinwiddie, I think is gone. DFS, I think teams are going to be calling for him. Claxton is a question mark because
I would keep Claxton personally.
Yeah, so would I, but he hasn't been as good as he was last year, and the team sucks, and
they're gonna have to pay him.
They're gonna have to pay him. So I don't know what's going on with Brooklyn. DeJounte, I guess it just depends on how this next month goes for Brooklyn. Like they're 2-8 in their last 10. I don't think that's going to improve much. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense for them to target a guy like DeJounte.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're going to be looking to give up more assets because they already don't have a lot of their own assets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and those Suns picks are going to be valuable down in the next couple of years.
I hate to say it, but I feel like Murray's just going to end up being a salary stashed on a bad team. So like, if the Hawks really want to move on from him this deadline,
mm-hmm.
I just don't see where he goes to where he's going to be playing for a winning team.
Yeah, it's tough because like playing for Atlanta has kind of tanked his trade value too because it wasn't a good fit and they didn't win. DeJounte is kind of seen as like a bit of a target asset, which was pretty far from the case a couple summers ago when he was drawing interest from like a lot of teams to be their next point guard. We don't know. I generally do like DeJounte, so I'm hoping he goes to a situation that's good for him and that's good for the team. But it's a bad situation in Atlanta. We just don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
and that's why
the trade ultimately didn't work out for anybody.
No,
Every single player's value on Atlanta, the whole team, everybody, just negatively affected by the DeJounte
Yeah.
move.
Yeah, their 2021 run was supposed to be the start of something special for that franchise, and it has done nothing but go downhill every year.
Yeah, but the one thing I will do, I respect them for making a trade after that run.
I do too.
I say it all the time. It was the 2019 run for the Blazers reincarnated, but they actually made a move. You know, they realized, hey, we got lucky with Sixers imploding. Like, there was some injury luck, like blah blah blah. They realized that, managers realized that, and they're like, let's improve the roster. And it didn't work out. Trae Young is still young enough, though. That's why you make those moves, because I think they'll be fine. I think their management will be fine, but right now, I think it's gonna take a little 2-year bump.
Yeah, I can't stand when people say that they need to trade Trae Young or that they should be looking to trade Trae Young. Why? Like,
no.
You know how hard it is to get a player like that, a guy who can be like the number one guy on your team, the one who can be the engine of your offense. Like hitting the reset button and getting rid of a guy like that just to go out and try to find another one is just that's such a like a dumb idea in my opinion. Any conversation about trading Trae Young or how
unless he asked to be traded, you don't.
Unless he asked to be traded, which I don't think is happening. You don't look to move him. You keep him on the team until it's actually falling apart from the seams. Then maybe you start having other conversations. But as of right now, I think Trae is untouchable.
I agree. I'm actually shocked at how impatient some fans are.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like he's been in the league, 6 years? Right? 25, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
He has been one of the best guards in the league basically since he stepped foot in the league. It took him about 6 months. It took him about 6 months to warm up, maybe even less. He's been one of the best guards in the league since then.
From trade deadline of his rookie season onward, he's been one of the best point guards in the league. Yeah.
That is such a rare talent to have. And it's like, okay, you keep him. You're not going to, I know like everyone loves to compare him to Luka, but look at what the Mavs have done. They've already gone through 3 regimes with Luka.
Mm-hmm.
But who cares? You have a superstar talent that's super young. Throw as many darts you can at the board.
They found one that worked now. They finally found one.
By the time that he hits their prime, maybe you'll finally figure out what fits. Then you have a roster and you can compete from when they're 27 to 31. And that's what matters. You want to compete when they're in their prime.
Yeah. Like they're going to get if on the way Trae Young has played his career so far, you're from beyond this season, you're getting probably about 10 more all-star level seasons from him, hopefully, as long as he stays healthy and all that. Like this he's generational is a word that gets thrown out a lot, but as a point guard talent and passing talent and shooting talent and scoring talent, Trae Young is like a generational type guy. It's so hard to draft players like that and so hard to hit right. I don't understand this push to want to trade him. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, we can move on to some other topics here. So there's some couple teams that we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about the current hottest team in the NBA, the Utah Jazz. They've been soaring up the standings. They're currently sitting at the 9 seed, right behind the Suns, and they're tied there. Same record as the Suns, 22 and 21 for the Jazz, 22 and 18 for the Suns, I believe, unless this might be an old thing, but they're right there. Colin Sexton's been absolutely hooping his ass off. Lauri Markkanen's been really good, and all of their role player, random young guys, are just absolutely playing lights out right now. Chris Dunn's been awesome too.
Yeah,
Chris Dunn's been really good.
Yeah, it's been fun in Utah for sure. We were saying earlier in the season how Utah, they've lost their juice. Like it's just not the same as it was last year. They've kind of found that again with this group. Markkanen being their number one player, he's been as steady as it comes as being like the guy who's going to rack up points for them, efficient from all three areas. They aren't trading him. Like he was kind of in trade talks like maybe about a month ago. Those have all died down. Like they aren't trading Markkanen. He's there to stay. Like what you said, Jeff, their role players and their others have stepped up too. It's not just Markkanen. Like Colin Sexton, he's been hooping his ass off for like weeks now. Like he's having a bounce back season from kind of first getting to Utah last year and then getting hurt the year before that. He's kind of emerged as like, I don't want to say a franchise building block or like anything too extreme, but he's looking like a really important player in that team, and a guy that if they wanted to, they could keep around to build off of for years. Like
he can be an important player on a winning team.
Yeah, along with
showing he has juice.
Along with Walker Kessler, who isn't really getting talked about because he had a bad start. He's been playing fine. Chris Dunn, he's had like 2 NBA resurgences, like. And he's kind of back. He's playing really good defense, like he always does. He's doing his thing. Simone Fontecchio, Kelly Olynyk has been playing great. He's a trade guy potentially. I just like what I see. They play good. They're fun. They're winning too. They're better than the Lakers right now.
No, I agree.
It's weird.
I think a lot of credit too obviously goes to the players. But I got to give Will Hardy a tip of the cap because he has been amazing. I was watching one of their games the other night, and according to their broadcast, he sat down with the team and had like a meeting or whatever, and a practice, had a speech, and was like, if you don't provide this, and that, I will not play you. Like either it was like, I do not care about your contract, I will not play you. And his players responded. And they've been winning for the last couple of weeks. And he really has a control over the personalities in that locker room. Mm-hmm. And you can just see it in the chemistry on the floor. They all play well together. Even though sometimes you're like, I don't get how they play well together. Yeah. Like, it seems like they're exceeding their talent back-to-back years, which doesn't happen a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But no, Will Hardy is coaching his ass off for that team. So it's been amazing to watch. And then also I want to talk about the Lauri Chris Dunn a little bit, because the Chicago Bulls resurgence.
Yeah.
I saw a stat the other night. I don't have it on me, but in the last couple of weeks since the Jazz started this run, the highest duo in terms of points per possession is Chris Dunn and Lauri at like 100, like at 1.13 or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but
yeah,
these guys are hooping.
They go back too. Like Chris Dunn was on Minnesota, and Lauri was taken with Minnesota's pick that got sent to Chicago with a Jimmy deal, and now they're both in Utah. So these guys have been around kind of together for a while. Like that trade for Jimmy was like almost 7 years ago. Like that's a lot of history.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the Jazz look good. I don't know where they go from here, but I think you just keep winning. You keep building with the momentum, and
yeah, like I like how they're kind of riding it out too. Like they probably should have. I don't want to say that. Like I don't want to say they probably should have tanked earlier in the season last season, because I like what they had going on, but they aren't really putting themselves in positions to draft high. But I think that's fine. Like I think establishing a winning culture with a young group is almost as important as getting, nailing your lottery picks or any of that. Like I like what's going on here.
Yeah.
And they're still going to look to not to maybe sell a little bit. Like I said, Kelly Olynyk is a guy that I think teams would love to add. John Collins, I think, has played fine most of the season. He could get moved. That's someone to move on from. Yeah, like there are guys that could be moved and out the door, and maybe that's kind of selling a little bit and whatever. But yeah, the Jazz have been fun. They've been good too, like better than teams like the Lakers, Rockets, Warriors. They've got a better record than all those guys right now.
Yeah, and they have a stockpile of assets, like you said. I'm actually really confident with what they'll build around Laurie, and I really like Keontae George as a prospect. I know he dealt with some injury, but
He's had some shooting issues.
Yeah, but that's just rookie stuff. I think I don't think he'll be like some star, but I think he's going to be another important player, and I think they're putting themselves in the best position possible because they're putting their young guys in places in important basketball games so they can develop. It's the best way to develop guys is important basketball games, but they're not hiding them behind vets. So they're getting experience playing heavy minutes in important basketball games, but they're also winning. And everything is great when you're winning, but they're also not winning enough to where, say, they lose their second play-in game or whatever. They still have a batter's chance at a lottery pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
they've just got a lot of picks in general. So like Cleveland picks, for example, too. So maybe you don't get a lottery pick from that, but if you draft 2 picks in the late teens or the early 20s, like one of those guys is probably going to be a contributor, which sometimes it's all you can really ask for from picks. Like, just be a guy that can play.
Yeah, and when you have their staff and someone like Will Hardy that obviously knows how to get the best out of his players,
yeah,
I'm sure they're gonna get guys that Will Hardy will put in positions to succeed.
And they have a smart GM in Danny Ainge who knows how to run. He knows how to run a team. So I'm kind of liking what the Jazz will be looking like for years down the line. And they've got young players too. Markkanen is like 26, maybe. That's still like a young. He's not a young player, but he's not old. And
his game looks like it'll age. He's a shooter.
Yeah, big shooter.
He's not exerting a lot of he's an athlete. Like that guy is an athlete.
Yeah.
But he's not. Every time he picks up the ball, he's not exerting like any of his athleticism.
Yeah, so he'll be good for a long time. Sexton, Kessler, like I mentioned, like they'll be fine.
No, they're a young team for sure. I think I don't want to say it's beneficial to lose in the play-in, but whether or not they make the playoffs or they lose in the play-in, I think they're going to be happy with both their draft position and the culture that they're bringing. Because you get the 16th pick, 17th pick. Oh, you can get a 3-and-D wing. Good.
Yeah.
Boom. But then, even if they have the 14th or 13th odds because they're the 9th seed, right? And say they lose their second playing game or their first playing game, so they're mid odds. You still hit and move up to 7. You never know. Like they're in a place where, like I don't want to say that expectations will be met no matter what, but it's gonna be hard to be displeased with the Jazz as a fan, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Because either they're bad and you're getting a pick, or they're surprisingly good and they're fun.
Yeah, and they're not bad. They're like not bad enough to.
Yeah.
Like oh, I gotta tune into a Jazz game. You're like, oh, I gotta watch a Jazz game. Like they're gonna compete even if they lose.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can move on from the Jazz then. We were gonna go into some players around the NBA who are in a lot of trade conversations and kind of maybe not break down what the situation is, but just kind of maybe throw out some teams that we could see making a run or kind of for them, or what kind of packages might be involved. So we can just kind of go down a little list of players. If you guys don't mind just hopping right into that. Yeah. We can start with Kyle Kuzma, because that's a name I've seen thrown out a lot recently about, teams needing a wing, teams needing a guy who can score, teams who are either looking to go from the play-in to the playoffs, or teams looking like they're in the playoffs and they want to get better. I think we can just start with Kuzma. There are a lot of teams that have been linked to him. The Spurs, Warriors, Grizzlies, Heat, Knicks, 76ers, Mavericks. Mavericks are linked to everybody. The Kings. Like there are a lot of teams that are kind of in the market for a guy like Kuzma that can make a run. So what do you guys think of Kuzma? Like, what do you think he could add to a team? if they made a trade for him.
I think he can add a lot to a team. Score,
Mhm.
rebounder, solid, like middle line defender. That's
Yeah.
what you need. And I don't think he's not going to get brought into these teams and be like a top 3 piece, but he will be a big piece, which he's shown he can
Mhm.
contribute as. I will say though, I don't love some of his style with some teams, like the Warriors. I don't see fitting. Kings, I also don't see fitting. Even though they both need 3-and-D wings in a theoretical sense, I think they just move too much, play too much. Like Kuzma likes to like shoot the ball and get moving and up and down the floor, but I mean just like offensively, I don't think Kuzma will necessarily keep up with those. But
Mhm.
I really like the Mavs fit.
Same. Yeah.
I really like the idea of him with next to Luka and Kyrie. If it were my choice, I think I'd send him there for sure.
Same.
Yeah, I like his fit a lot in Dallas. I think Dallas should be looking for any forward help right now.
They are. They are. They're linked,
especially power forwards.
They're linked to nearly everybody that we're going to talk about. The Mavs.
Yeah, they're going to be buyers again. I haven't really played around with them much in like, the Fanspot trade machine or anything like that. So I'm going to take a look. I mean, they're really asset deprived. They have 2 tradable firsts. They have 2 seconds. I don't know. I mean, if you want to mortgage your assets on that, I mean, the Luka and Kyrie fit have been really good, like you said, Matthias. Derek Lively's been amazing for them as a rookie, especially as a big man. So, and they have a lot of easily tradable contracts. Grant Williams was we were a guy that talked about him. We talked about him earlier in the year as him being really good. He's really slowed down, honestly.
Halted.
Yeah. Hit by a truck, honestly, type of slowed down. So that's a tradable contract. So I mean, I think they have a lot of players that you could look to move, and I think they got 36 million, 35 million worth of contracts in Grant Williams, Rashawn Holmes, and Maxi Kleber that you can essentially say if they're off the team, we're losing almost nothing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd like him to be aggressive for a player because I think Kyle Kuzma really is a perfect fit for that team because I think we all kind of share this sentiment to different degrees, but they're better than we thought they'd be. I thought they'd be flirting around 9, 10, 11 before the season, and they've been way better than that. Luka's playing.
I had him really low. I will admit, Luka's playing out of his mind. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, Luka's been playing out of his mind. Kyrie has been on a tear lately. Kyrie has been just cooking every defender they throw at him. He's got like the long sleeves, like he's rocking, like he's just getting buckets. Like he's been so good. Derek Lively has been so good. And a lot of their wings haven't stepped up to the plate like you'd imagine. Josh Green has not had a good season, especially compared to like what we thought he'd have. Derek Jones Jr. He's serviceable for situations, but obviously having as many shooters as you can around a guy like Luka and Kyrie with their ability to like draw attention and create openings, I think you want to add shooters. Derek Jones Jr. just isn't that, despite how good he is on defense and how he can switch, whatever. Grant Williams, just has kind of been a no-show lately, for a while, actually, not just lately. So adding a guy like Kuzma who's huge, can defend a bit, he can shoot from all 3 levels, he can attack off closeouts and off catches. He can make passes. I think Kuzma is the kind of guy that is just a great fit for this team. I don't want to say he's their third option, but he could kind of function as their third option over there with Luka and Kyrie. I think it's like a great fit.
Luka's like 2 options himself, so it's like
he's your first 2 options by himself.
Yeah, but no, I agree. I think from the Wizards' point, like what they would request, if I was Wizards GM, I'd give you Kuz if you give me Josh Green.
Yeah,
I'd be like, Josh Green hasn't been good, but we'll take a flyer on him and then contract on top of it, and then
I would try to get someone
obviously-
else from the Wizards too. If I was them, honestly.
yeah, you could even do a bigger package and try to do like a 3 for
Gafford.
2 or a 4 for 2 or
Gafford
something.
has been kind of like talked about as a trade guy, and he's been linked to the Mavs too.
Yeah.
So bringing
Another
in
bet.
Kuz and Gafford would be that's a nice haul.
Yeah,
I agree.
and I think Josh Green would have to go in that deal for sure. And I think one of Dante Exum or Derek Jones Jr. will be involved in whatever trade they make. One of those wings will be involved, whether it's for Jeremy Grant or for Kuzma or whatever they go. I think one of those two guys for sure are gone. And I also think if you want to expand the deal, again, one of their two bigs will be gone other than Lively. Lively's the only big I think that is safe.
All right, and then so the next trade target we got on the agenda then is we're going to be talking about Bruce Brown. So we've talked about him a little bit prior in the episode, but we didn't really talk about teams that might be interested or where he's a good fit. So far, the three teams that I've heard of, I know Chris Haynes on his podcast said they'd be interested in Bruce. The Bucks would be interested in Bruce Brown. I know I've seen the Knicks would be interested, the Lakers as well.
Yeah.
Were the three teams that I've seen. I know there's some other teams that were rumored as well, but those are the three teams that I remember seeing for sure. I don't like the Knicks fit. They have like 4 Bruce Browns on the roster already. And they're trying to trade a cost-effective Bruce Brown right now and Quentin Grimes, so I don't really see the point of that.
I'm going to throw one out there. Kind of weird. What about the Warriors? I know they're looking for a forward and all that, but
Dump Wiggins contract.
dump a contract. Bruce Brown is like a guard Draymond, and you just kind of have him run a pseudo offensive like screen engine role when he's on the team. He also helps you push the pace, and he's someone that will find Steph, Clay, Pods, etc.
I would like that, especially because it sounds like they want to get Wiggins off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a good Bruce Brown's a solid rebounder. Like I know he's 6, he's small, he's like 6'5", 6'4", right?
Yeah.
But he plays a lot bigger than
he played power forward in the 2021 playoffs for Brooklyn.
Exactly. I don't think it'll be too big of an issue with the Warriors.
I would like that. I would like that fit.
Yeah,
I think it's
I don't hate it either.
Because I mean, they want to get Wiggins' contract off. He's been so bad this year. Wiggins was a guy that at the beginning of the year I was talking about, like, hey, if he's going to be this bad, like, I would move our 2 bench guys for Wiggins. But he's this because I was like, oh, maybe he'll turn it around. No, absolutely not. He's been absolutely horrible. He's like one of the worst offensive and defensive players by EPM this season.
Yeah.
And if there's a team that might be willing to take on his contract, maybe the Raptors will. Or you could reroute him to a third team.
Mm-hmm.
Make it a big deal. Look at the Warriors pick wise. They have some firsts they can move. They don't have their pick this year. The Trailblazers have it.
Yeah, that's sitting pretty.
They're not making the playoffs.
No, but I'm just worried that they'll get lucky in the lottery and get a top 4 pick. That's the thing. Like,
I don't think they will. I don't think there's any
Devil's magic, man.
Because
Devil's magic.
Portland can't drop below what 5, 6, 5.
I think it's 6. Yeah, 5 or 6, something like that. I think it's 5 because are we top 3 odds right now? No, we're not.
No. It's
like 7.
Oh, you're not even top. Oh, you're the 5th best odds.
Yeah, like we can drop. I think top 3 is when like they run. That's because like Detroit dropped to like the farthest it could drop at 5.
5th. Yeah, they dropped back 5th years.
So I think it depends on.
Yeah, I don't know. They would have to be really lucky to jump up that.
I don't think the Warriors would want to get rid of their draft capital too much yet. If it was a round trade.
Who do you think is? Yeah, I would. The Warriors are probably not going to want to move draft capital, but they could give you a couple seconds. Wiggins. So I'd be interested to do it. I'd be thinking of that. That'd be a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any weird team fits that you would like, Ryan?
I don't know if I have any weird team fits for Bruce Brown. I think Philly is a team that I could kind of see the fit on. they've got cap space. They can afford to take on some extra money if they need to do that. Bruce Brown is a guy that helps them, adds like toughness, some shooting depending on the night, passing. He does a bit of everything. Bruce Brown. He wins. Smart player. We kind of all know what Bruce Brown is, but Philly, I think, is a team that makes sense. It's a fine fit. He can play your 2 or your 3 if you want to upgrade from D'Anthony Melton in the starting lineup. Lakers is a team that was thrown out immediately. I guess I don't really know what that kind of what would that trade package even look like if that trade were to go down.
So 22 million. I keep Fanspo up at all times. Let me look it. So they need 22 million. So D'Lo's at 17 million, Rui's at 15, Gabe Vincent at 10, Jared Vanderbilt. So you could probably do a D'Lo Jared Vanderbilt trade.
I mean,
I don't know why they would want D'Angelo Russell or Jared Vanderbilt. But maybe do a three-team trade for a more like maybe a 3-team trade it with maybe you send D'Lo to like maybe the Knicks maybe, and I don't know. Fournier goes back to the Raptors for like a first.
I think D'Lo would be the worst Tibbs guard ever.
Yeah,
like I
hate him. He'd be in the doghouse immediately.
That would be an awful player coach.
I agree.
Like connection. Oh my god.
Unless they move Rui and D'Angelo Russell is a hard player to trade because who really wants D'Lo? He's just such a niche player, and D'Lo's actually been playing better lately.
Good lately. Yeah,
scoring. You run into
Gabe Vincent and Rui. Rui.
I would rather have that package than another package. We run into it with guards where their trade value is really hard to gauge because there's guards everywhere in the NBA now that can provide what D'Lo provides. I have another team out there, Pelicans. I think they could use some Bruce Brown on their roster. I don't think he moves the needle too much for them, but they need someone on their roster that brings consistency on the small aspects of the game because none of them do. Other than like Herb Jones, I would say, but all of their star players don't pay attention to the gritty details. It's just.
I like that fit too.
Herb Jones might be on the trade discussions. Allegedly.
Stupid.
I don't
like that. I think you got to keep that, man.
I think the only reason I could see that is I saw the report as well. I think the only reason you could say that is they don't want to pay Trey Murphy and Herb Jones.
Yeah, that's where you're picking one of them.
Yeah, and they're super high on Trey Murphy, and they should be. He's younger. He's really good at defense still. And he's not as good as Herb, but he's really good, and he's a much better offensive player. Plus, with the emergence of Jordan Hawkins minutes that he's been able to get, he's been electric for them. So, I would like any of the fans. I think any of the contenders that have 20 million salary to move, I would say pull the.
Yeah, he fits on a lot of teams.
For sure. Another guy. So we move on to a guy from the Trailblazers, Brogdon. Been in a lot of deals. I think everyone's kind of penciling him in to be a Knick at the deadline.
Yep.
I like that move, that location, landing spot a lot.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
for sure. Like I think for a lot of these guards, I think a lot of the teams that are looking for guards are kind of the same. So a lot of these teams are going to be repeat teams. Like, I guess, I mean, what's Brogdon's contract like? Like how much is he making?
18. No,
18?
22. 22.
So the same as Bruce Brown, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same contract.
All right. Well,
Dude, Malcolm, my thing is, I think Malcolm will be wanted by a lot more contenders.
I think so. I think it's probably I'd probably say the same.
I just think Bruce Brown obviously provides a lot. But for instance, like looking at the top of the standings in the West, you have Minnesota could use a Malcolm Brogdon, right? And then obviously the Knicks are a team that could use him. He's been rumored to LA, but I don't know if they'll do that now after the Harden deal. But I think Malcolm definitely fits better with the Knicks than anybody. I think he will fill a void on that roster because right now we've already seen some memes and stuff. It's like the best like role playing super team. No, you have a lot of guys other than Brunson, obviously, that Brunson and Randall that do a lot, but guard wise, they have nobody that can go get you a bucket other than Brunson.
They've got to replace some of the quickly stuff that got lost.
Yeah.
So Brogdon makes a lot of sense.
And that's
plus they have the 48. They have the Fournier contract just sitting on the bench. It's just a free trade.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I think the deal will probably be 48 picks
and the Knicks are on a second tax team, so they can take on a little bit extra salary. They don't have to fully match it. So, but yeah. Well, speaking of the Knicks, we got a Knicks guy on here, Quentin Grimes. Apparently, doghouse with Thibodeau, doesn't really understand where his role is on this team. They are going to have to pay him. They don't want to pay him, so they're looking to shop him around or use him in a package. How are you guys feeling about Quentin Grimes?
Throw him in the Brogdon trade. Bring him to Portland. I'd like him.
I bet you would love if they just gave you Quentin Grimes for a vet that you don't want on your roster.
I would love it. It'd be amazing.
I think that would be a bit of an overpay. If you're going to give Grimes and a picks.
Yeah, no, probably be Grimes.
A second.
Yeah, probably Grimes in seconds if that was the thing.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting. If you're getting Grimes, I don't think you're getting a first.
Yeah. In terms of fit with Grimes, though, what about Utah?
That's an interesting fit. I mean, they have Chris Dunn right now, so
yeah, but Chris Dunn's more on ball versus I feel like Quentin Grimes. Like obviously, Quentin Grimes, he's publicly said he wants to be more on ball and more movement wise, but like he's a 2 dribble, 1 to 3 dribble guy usually.
I think Utah's a fine fit for Grimes, just because like. That is a place that'll let Grimes kind of spread his wings a little bit, and he needs that.
But Jordan Clarkson's a guy that's also probably on the trade market, and that's at $23 million.
Maybe
I think if you could do a Grimes, I would be more willing to give up for Clarkson. I know like Clarkson's older than we think he is. He's 31, but like I think. He's got a little bit longer on his contract. He's got an extra year on his contract. And I think he is actually a really good bench scorer. And Malcolm Brogdon also has a lot of injury issues.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. There's a lot of question marks with Malcolm Brogdon's injury. How is he going to age with all of that injury history?
Yeah.
What about Quentin Grimes to like Sacramento?
That'd be a good fit.
Yeah, I'd like it.
Play fast, get a shooter. I think he would love to play in Brown's system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Give some chances to do things with the ball if you were to play there, which he doesn't at all have now. Like the Mike Brown, Steve Kerr system on offense compared to the Tibbs it's completely different.
Yeah, the Kings could give up a couple seconds for him and maybe Davion Mitchell, which Davion Mitchell would be a perfect Tibbs guy. He doesn't play any offense. He just runs around. Yeah, and I think if you're doing that for the Kings, I think that would be a good move because this is the last year on Malik Monk's deal. I think they'll bring him back. They should bring him back. But if you were to lose him, this gives you a little bit shore up on the guard rotation for a cost-effective measure. So
I got another
don't-
one. Sorry, I'm throwing them out.
No, you're good.
What about the Pistons? I'm thinking young teams that like have a contract on their roster that doesn't really fit. Like I would think Boyan and a piece maybe. Boyan and one of the bigs.
Or maybe like Alec Burks.
Yeah,
Like Alec
maybe.
Burks.
I think
Yes.
Alec Burks is a prime player to go off that team.
Yeah.
I think that they kind of need Bojan though. Like for as much as they could get from him, like it feels like Bojan is what is keeping them in games at all. Sometimes the Pistons, like
I don't know. Alex Burks has been hooping
he's been good.
crazy, bro. He's averaging,
Yeah,
like,
he's
dude.
good.
He jumps. He like I see him getting like a 30-point game. I'm like, dude, he takes some of the craziest shots for a role player, dude. Like it's actually nuts.
Green light all the time.
Sidestep threes.
If Minnesota traded for him, I'd be like pretty happy actually. Like he would like inject some offense into our bench. We need
For
that.
sure. All right. Next guy that I got on here is Dorian Finney-Smith. With another report that the Nets are looking for 2 first-round picks or the equivalent to do that. I don't think that's happening.
That's
Sorry,
not happening.
That is not happening.
They're not getting 2. If Pascal goes for 3, DFS is not getting 2.
Might go for 2 firsts. Like, I mean, not 2 seconds. I mean, 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite of what I just said.
Yeah, I just don't see a world where he's getting. I don't know. The Nets are a horribly run franchise.
Well, yeah, I passed up on like 4 first-round picks for Mikal.
Do you think they should trade Mikal?
Not now.
Um,
I think they should, but you gotta wait at this point.
I don't really know what the rush is to trade Mikal. Like,
I can agree with that.
I have a hypothetical for you. If the Grizzlies on draft day have let's say they get the 7th overall pick, they offer you the 7th overall pick and another first or 2. Would you take that?
And any player?
I don't know. You'd probably get the salary for Mikal is $21 million. Maybe you get like I don't know. Maybe you'd probably get like Luke Kennard and someone else.
yeah. I don't know.
Zaire Williams or something.
For that high of a pick for the Nets.
Yeah. Set like I don't know, like the lottery has to do the lottery thing, but and I know we just did the whole bad draft, weak draft, but this draft is weaker. I don't really know if Brooklyn would really want to do that. I also don't know what the market would be for Mikal. Like obviously teams would be very interested in Mikal Bridges. I just don't know how much teams are willing to give up. I don't know what Brooklyn's plan is. Like I don't know if they actually see Mikal as the guy they want to build around long term. I don't know if they actually want to trade him at all. I don't know what the situation is. Like trades are a lot easier to kind of predict or sense when you have a good sense of the teams involved, and I just don't have a good feel on what the Nets are or what they're trying to do. That's why it's hard to talk about them like trading Mikal Bridges or trading Nick Claxton, just because it's like what would trading those players signify as like where your
win
franchise
now, I guess. Like I guess you go win now, but even Claxton, I feel like obviously he's not the best offensive player, but I feel like those guys provide at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing to note with the Nets, though. They are at the 8th odds in the lottery right now. So in that theoretical sense, they would have
Houston as their pick.
Oh, I forgot Houston as their pick. Oh yeah, they're screwed. Nah, dude, I don't even know.
They don't have their assets until 2028.
I mean,
that's why I'm like,
what assets are you gonna get back in terms of picks? Really, like, because for Mikal,
yeah, I don't know.
It might be like if you want to really move up, if they are scouting this guy and they really like a guy, then you do it. But like,
yeah, I don't know. They should.
It's hard. They're in a really hard position.
Yeah. But the thing is, they still have assets. Like the years they don't have their own pick, even though they still have other picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna have Phoenix's picks. They have a 2029 unprotected Phoenix pick. Like that's probably gonna be a good pick.
Yeah.
Um,
My thing is like you can't. Yeah, I was saying like reload on 2 lottery picks, and then maybe you see if someone pops next to Macau before you trade or whatever. But
I just saw a report that the Lakers be interested in Spencer Dinwiddie, which is hilarious. He is a Lakers player.
they're interested in everyone, dude. I'm so tired of Lakers rumors.
They would Dinwiddie would be set up to fail in LA. Like that jump shot would
Yeah.
not be going in at all.
No.
I want to trade him. Dinwiddie,
No.
I like Dinwiddie generally as a player, but he hasn't been good this season. I think he's last in field goal percentage of players that have played above this threshold. Like he hasn't shot the ball efficiently from really anywhere this season, where you want it to be like his spot, because he's kind of like Dinwiddie can hit threes and stuff in theory, but also in theory you want him getting downhill, kind of working in the paint a little bit. But like this year he hasn't been doing that at all at an effective rate. So I
Their
guess
offense also has just not been great. I don't.
it's been bad. Yeah, they don't have. Surprise! Like you need a lead. I feel like you really do need a lead playmaker in the current.
Wow, you need a lead playmaker that can work a pick and roll in the modern NBA. I'm shocked.
Surprise!
You're even the greatest coaching mind of all time, Popovich. You can't run an offense. He's finding it out this last half decade. You can't run an offense without a lead
this
playmaker.
is so funny, dude.
Everybody eats motion offense from the 90s just doesn't.
What do you mean? You mean we can't run the triangle anymore? Come on.
Yes, sadly, you cannot run.
Come on. Why doesn't everyone just sit in the
You
corners
can't run
and swing the ball back and forth to the post?
Yeah. I mean, like now, actually, you should be running horns every time. It's just high horns and high pick and rolls, clear side. Like, and you can't do that with a ball handler.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. But that's why Trae Young will always be valuable, because he can get a bucket.
That's why I value playmaking as. I'd rather take a good score with elite playmaking over an elite score with good to bad playmaking.
That's why like the whole Cam Thomas thing is fun, but like he can't be your lead creator on offense, because he isn't a passer. He can't really make plays. So
yeah,
like you're really bottlenecked in that sense. And Mikal, for as good as he is, he's not going to be setting up your offense. Spencer Dinwiddie, he's not setting up your entire offense. Like they don't have a lead playmaker. And that's so many of their issues as a team can kind of be connected back to that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like Mikal's really good. He's not a one option. He's not.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the confusion with the Nets that everybody has is that they're not in a position to hold someone like Mikal hostage and hope or pray that they get a first option to match with him in the lottery or whatever, or with the young talent they have, because they don't have a young talent that scales up to
Not
be
really.
a 1 or even a 2 or a 3. Like they don't.
Mm-mm.
And obviously now with their picks, they're not they don't have an option to go draft a point guard.
It is
so why are they holding him hostage? Like, just go get assets and then.
Now that we've talked about it, I do see some of the trade Mikal stuff a little bit. Like, I don't think
they need to do it now, but yeah,
no,
I think
I wouldn't do it now.
No,
you only do it now if.
That's why I said draft.
Holy! So, like, if someone panic, like someone like the Warriors panics, and it's like.
I think like
a lot that you can't deny.
Mikal is a guy to be kind of thinking about next trade deadline 2025, because that's like prime, timing for a guy like Mikal to be traded. Like, I bet the way Pascal was talked about this trade deadline, if the Nets kind of continue on this trajectory, I think Mikal might be like the prize next trade deadline everyone's trying to claw after. Just
I
interesting.
agree. All right. Another trade rumor guy. This isn't one guy, but an entire team. Apparently, everyone except Mark Williams, Brandon Miller, and LaMelo Ball are available for trade from the Charlotte Hornets. Hornets have a lot of guys that I think could be valuable to contenders that just don't work together well. You know, Terry Rozier's been awesome this year. I think a lot of teams would be interested in bringing in Terry.
Yeah.
PJ Washington is a really good young wing piece that a team could be looking to move in.
Mm-hmm.
The criminal
they've got
himself.
guys. Yeah.
Miles Bridges, apparently Detroit and some other teams are looking to bring him in because they have cap space and stuff. So
yeah.
What's his contract like?
$7 million
How many left? How many years left?
just this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like him to Detroit is the most obvious thing in free agency. If you can get something for him, just do it.
They've been linked to him for a while before any of his.
The Hornets should just let him go. They should just let him walk in free agency, and if somebody calls about him at the trade line, I'd get whatever you can.
That's what I do. That's what I do if I were the Hornets. I feel bad for like the fans of like any team that ends up trading for Miles Bridges. I really do. Like that would suck. Like I
heard that Dallas is interested. I really hope they don't.
I hope they don't too.
Yeah. I think whoever trades for PJ Washington is going to get a steal. I think
he's good.
You saw in the offseason his value for some reason was weirdly low.
He only got $45 million.
Like, get that man to Miami. Get that man anywhere, honestly.
Do that.
Yeah, I think he'd fit amazing next to Bam and Jimmy.
Let's get him to Milwaukee.
Well, yeah. Get rid of go small.
Let's get him to any contender team that needs wings.
Yeah. Exactly. Like he's the perfect modern like role wing you want in your starting lineup. Play multiple positions, can even upscale in a small ball lineup, shoot, has a little bit of creation. Like he does a lot. I don't know, like maybe I'm just super high on him, but I feel like he can be a really good piece wherever he goes.
PJ Washington fit I like on any team that needs wings that might be looking to buy. Grizzlies, I would like them if they try to make a move for him.
Yeah.
You know, I think the Grizzlies should be active at the deadline. Try to get someone for next year.
Set yourself. Yeah, I want the Grizzlies to kind of make moves to position themselves for next year because
get role players.
They could be really good next year if everyone comes back and everything's in place. Like we've seen,
they're going to have a top 10 pick.
They're gonna have They're gonna have a pick that they could add. We've seen with Desmond Bane, like that guy is real, and he took a big step forward this season. And a lot of their like fringe guys, like Vince Williams, has been
he's a
dog. He's a dog. He's been great. Gigi Jackson has shown flashes of being a good player, like
youngest player in the NBA.
Yeah, and when
go ahead.
When you get Steve-O back and Brandon Clark back, like they're going to be well positioned, I think, and you can help position yourself better right now by making trades at this deadline instead of waiting until the summer.
Yeah, and I think a benefit of going after someone like PJ Washington, someone who's still young and shows a little bit of juice, to improve more. Like I don't think anyone's selling PJ Washington stock saying is super interested in thinking he's gonna pop, but he can still improve. So you suck this last half of this year. Everyone's injured. Just see what he can provide maybe outside of his usual role.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, he doesn't need to play next to Ja and Desmond Bane, even though like he can. Maybe he comes off the bench and you start big with Adams at 5, Jaren or whatever. How confident are you guys, though? I have a question. How confident are you guys in him playing the 3? With a team like the Grizzlies, PJ?
I think it would be fine, even if he struggles a little bit, because the reason he plays the power forward is because even though he's only 6'7", he is a little slower for that size.
Mm-hmm.
He's big. He's 6'7", 230. He's got some weight on him.
Yeah, and he's long, so.
Yeah. I think it would be better. Honestly, I would prefer them to have a guy like PJ Washington, especially because if he does get burned by he's got one of the best cleanup defenders in the NBA behind him, and he's also
Yeah.
gonna have Steven Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of see him as a 4 a little bit more, just because like I don't love what it does to the spacing if you've got him at the 3.
How is he on corner? Is he okay on corner threes? I don't know. I don't have.
I don't know this season exactly, but he's usually been a solid shooter.
Yeah,
bet
This
that's
year
what,
shooting 32% from 3, but 36 career wise. So like he's the
I bet
average,
the
but down
corner is better for
Yeah.
sure. It is with every player basically.
Well, the reason I asked that is because you run into the issue of, for instance, like the Grizzlies. You have Jared, who's the 4. You have Adams, who's the
It is
5.
not better. It is not better.
Not a corner. He's a top of the key wing shooter. Big pop guy.
Weird.
He's a big
20%,
pop guy.
20% on 24 attempts and 26% from the right corner.
What's his career percentage from the corner? Is that just this year?
It's just this year. I can look at last year. Maybe it's just a down year.
Because if it's a down year, that might be why his percentage is so low. Is his corner threes down? But everything else is low.
47% from the right corner last year.
Yeah, I could just be having a down year missing. But
Is he a lefty?
No. The reason I asked about his fit at small forward though is that when healthy, the Grizzlies have their answer at 4 and 5 in their starting lineup.
Yeah.
Last year looks to be the exclusive.
Because it does like. So you're gonna, but then they don't have a real small forward. You're not gonna start G.G. Jackson, even no matter how good he is this year. He's a bench piece next year. You have Marcus Smart. You gonna start Marcus Smart at 3, or you're gonna start PJ at 3?
I was gonna bring Marcus Smart's name up. Would you move him at the deadline?
No. Wait.
Just hold on.
You haven't seen him. You haven't seen him next to your pieces, and that's why you got.
I just don't know what
I
don't know what his fit is on that team next year.
He can. I mean, bench guard that provides defensive playmaking and a little bit of shooting. Can play next. He'll be able to play next to both Bane and Jaw, which is.
I don't know. If you're talking about PJ Washington possibly playing the 3, I really don't like the idea of the Bane 3. Experiment
with Marcus Smart. No.
Yeah, no.
In my opinion, I think you have Marcus Smart guard 3s before you have Bane guard 3s.
Same.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. Well, yeah, but Bane would start.
It is a bit of a weird piece. Like,
why did they even get him? Like, I genuinely don't know. Like,
I
know it was because of the jaw suspension, but at the time, but like when you think about it, it's like you're going to be bad anyways.
Like they wanted. It was someone to kind of be there for when Jaw missed games.
Yeah.
But also someone to kind of serve as like the mouthpiece for the team in the locker room and on the court, which like I'm not going to say is why they've had problems in the past, but I think,
I can't believe they gave up 2 first-round picks.
Kleiman or however you say his name is their GM. Like I think he saw a role for someone like that, like a leader like Marcus Smart on the team. And I think the on the court fit was almost secondary to a lot of the culture and leadership stuff they traded for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
defense helps and shooting helps and whatnot.
I think even with the on the court fit, I think people are underrating it when fully healthy, because let's look at their playoff. I guess against the Lakers, they didn't really struggle with small ball. Against the Warriors, like they didn't have an answer for the small ball, right? Like they have this thing where they've kind of set up, we have a small back court, but we're going to get big bodies and basically surround our 2 guards with bodyguards. You have Adams and you have Jaren Jackson Jr. and off the bench you got Brandon Clark. Like you got guys that are rim deterrents, and but they didn't have like a point of attack guy. They didn't have a guy to go small that could guard 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Right. And even then switch on some 4 and 5s.
And with Brooks, it's like you couldn't afford to keep him out there sometimes with the offense and the shot selection.
Yeah, that's exactly. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name they let go of. Dylan Brooks. It was a Dylan Brooks replacement. I think it's exactly what they needed. I actually really like the trade. I think you keep him, and I honestly think you keep your pick this year unless you can get Mikal. I think you keep your pick this year, draft a wing, and Marcus Smart comes off.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And even
I don't,
if
I don't know
they
if we
make a
ever.
deal for PJ here, sorry to, I just want to make one more remark.
You're good.
Make a deal with PJ here, even if he's a bench piece next year, you have all year to figure out the GG Jackson PJ bench duo.
Yeah, and I don't know if we ever got to it on the pod, but like that John Morant news is that sucked. Like my heart sank when I saw that tweet. I was like, "Oh my, are you serious?" Like I was so I used to not like the Grizzlies and Ja because they beat us in the playoffs that one year. But like I love watching Ja in the Grizzlies. Like when there's no better singular player to just like who's gonna to put on a show than Ja Morant, because he's just electric every single time he plays. And I was fully prepared for like, oh, the team's healthy, he's gonna bring them to the playoffs, like he's gonna help the Grizz get back in. Because when he played, they were like what 3-0, 3-1. They were good when Ja played, and they played good teams too, not scrubs, like good teams. So I was excited for that, but a torn labrum shoulder, like that's rough. I'm bummed about that.
Do you think maybe that the Grizzlies move off from one of their injured players? Like, do you think they move off from Steven Adams or Brandon Clark maybe to make room for PJ Washington and do maybe just get a different look on that back line?
I like their back line. Like it's like they each fit their jobs really well. So I don't think you break that up unless there's concern about what Clark and Adams look like post injury. Like if rehabilitation is not going great, if you've got concerns about Steven Adams' wear and tear and age, because he's played in the league a long time. Clark, Achilles, that's never a good injury to have for any player.
Achilles for a big athletic man. And like Clark is someone that's fit. Both of them are physical, like bigs.
Yeah, that's not a great. That's Achilles injuries are always just red flags. So unless they've got concerns about that, I think you keep them together because I think they each complement each other so well as players. Jaren and Adams and Clark, like that, and what's his name, Tillman. I think Tillman can kind of fill in there and be part of that core too. I don't think you split that up unless you have concerns over injuries.
Okay,
I agree. You guys got any other trade guys? I don't have anyone else listed on this list.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Tyus, I think, has been talked about.
Well, he's going to the Timberwolves. We tweeted it out.
Yeah, so. according to Soul Hoops, he's a Timberwolf, which I need. I need that. I need that so much. We need a guy like that on the team. I think if we trade Kyle, like maybe it wouldn't even take Kyle Anderson to get Tyus Jones. Like it depends on how
it's $14 million in salary, so you'd probably need it.
Yeah, I guess it's a match salary, but like you throw Kyle Anderson, you throw Shake Milton, you throw a couple seconds. You send that to Washington, and if you can get Tyus, like I think that makes us like real championship contenders and not like fringe contenders, because for Kyle's been Chris Finch loves Kyle Anderson. Like that would be hard to let go of, because he's a smart player and he's played really good defense this year, and he had such a good season last year. But the offense is just too bad for the Wolves right now. Like they're 20th in offense overall. Kyle Anderson is I think by himself making that worse, because you can't play him with Rudy anymore because the spacing is too bad, and you can't really play him with anybody and feel great about it. Like I think he's lost confidence in his outside shot, which teams have recognized. Now they're just leaving him open. So when you've got Rudy, another non-shooter, and you've got other guys whose shot kind of goes in and out, like McDaniels, I think teams kind of test his jump shot at the beginning of games before deciding whether they want to guard him or not. And so Kyle, he's just been bad.
And with how good Troy Brown Jr. has been in his limited playing time, I think he'd be more than happy to just – because Kyle Anderson probably isn't even in your playoff rotation at this point with how negative he's been on that.
He would have to be because because Finch likes him too much. But yeah, like if you're worried about losing wing depth after you've given up Kyle Anderson, like you have Troy Brown Jr. right there who is serviceable, and he doesn't get in the way. He's just an easy player to play.
And I think Troy Brown Jr. has like earned to have his role improved. And I also think this gives the Wolves a chance, if they trade for a guard, whoever it is, and a chance to play Leonard Miller some real minutes.
It gives them a
role because he has earned a role in the league, in my opinion, as well.
It gives them a chance to play at least or try playing some of the young guys, because the Wolves are the first seed. They've been for 2 months. Like, they've been really good, but kind of a weird thing kind of going on is like none of the young guys play. Like, you've got like 5 or 6 guys in this rotation that just never play ever. And if you're committing,
you have minutes for one of them.
Yeah. And if you're committing to this, like, you know, this super expensive team, you've got to be able to hit on some of the cheap, like, second rounders. And right now it looks like they haven't, because they haven't been contributing at all. Like, giving Leonard Miller a shot if Kyle Anderson were to leave, I think is worth exploring. And as far as Tyus Jones, like, he does everything they need. Like, he can be the Mike Conley for the second unit. He's young. He's on a good deal. He's from Minnesota. Like, I just love the Tyus Jones fit. I just don't know if Tim Connolly is going to be looking to be that aggressive. Like, I think there's a chance that he just goes for maybe a Bones Highland or Alec Burks, maybe one of those guys. But I think Tyus Jones is a player you really got to be targeting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Question. Who would you rather have then on the Wolves, Malcolm Brogdon or Tyus Jones? Obviously, I probably have to give up more for Malcolm, is my guess. But
I don't think they can get Malcolm.
I don't think they couldn't get Malcolm unless they really wanted.
I think they wanted. I don't think.
I don't know what the contract's coming from. That's the problem.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, that is true.
The Wolves
giving up Naz
is
Reid.
all tied up in their top like 6 guys.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard. It's hard to be flexible with big contracts coming in. So
yeah, I think Tyus could be a good move, because you really don't know what the future with Mike Conley looks like after this year as well. Like, I would think Mike Conley would probably come back like at a really cheap deal. That's probably the assumption. You know, play out the rest of his career. You know, the next 2-ish years, whatever.
Both sides want to kind of ride things out with Minnesota, but like, obviously, I don't think you can offer Mike Conley the vet minimum and expect him to resign. Like, that's not happening. So
you never know. He might take the mid-level.
It depends on how they do in the playoffs. Like, my thing with the Wolves, like, spending and the new ownership and Conley, and it really depends on what the playoffs look like. Because if they flare out in the first round or early second round to a team that's worse than them, then I think they don't. Then there's no way they pay the luxury tax, and then you have to have conversations about, you know, what kind of deal you want to bring back Conley on, and then Cat and Naz. Like, how important are both of them? It gets.
I'm gonna be honest. Right now, if without the play-in, they'd be playing the Suns first round. That's not a matchup they want.
No,
they don't. They don't want. They really do not want that matchup at all. So,
King, I would probably take them over every team though. At that bottom, I think they're just a better team than the Lakers. I think they're better than the Jazz. I think they're better than the Kings.
Yeah. My worry, I'll say the one worry I have though with the relying on Tyus Jones to be the new Mike Conley or like stepping in that role even next year, is I don't think he provides the same gravity in the pick and roll as a shooter. Like, percentage wise, he's shooting all right, but it's not the same pull up threat. So it's like I still think they need a long term.
But my thought process with that is, if you were to lose Conley, you have a guy that you can continually, that you know that you've had, that you can work on trying to work on that as well. Because if they were to lose Conley right now, like they would be like seriously like pretty much.
They have no playmakers.
They have no guard. They'd have no point guard. Like, Jordan McLaughlin would be the only guard, and he's on a 1-year deal.
They are relying a lot on Conley. Like, if Conley hurts his ankle before the playoffs and he's out for like a few weeks, they're fucked. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Like he's such an important part of that team because did you guys watch that Celtics game from recently?
Yeah.
Where it went into overtime and Ant just kind of fucked the game up.
And he hit like a ton of big threes. Yeah.
Yeah, like you need Mike Conley in that kind of situation. And they didn't have him there, and you saw what happened. Like Mike, he's such an important part of this team, and I don't think of Tyus Jones necessarily as Mike Conley insurance if he were to leave, but just a guy that can help the bench, like, and just make the offense better, because that's really what the Wolves need. And you can afford to bring in someone like Tyus, who isn't a great defender, because you've got the best defense in the NBA by a mile still, even though it feels like the last month their defense is just kind of coasted. Like they're still number one by a good bit. So you can afford to bring in maybe a guy who's a bit weaker on defense for someone who can just like revive your offense, because 20th doesn't matter how good your defense is. If you're 20th in offense, it's really hard to
run into issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially come playoff time, because you can't rely on that bad of an offense to get you through that many series.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else we can think of, or any other teams? Or
no, but a team that a lot of people have penciled in as sellers. I think I don't remember if we were talking about it before the episode or earlier, but the Bulls, everyone's pretty much penciling them in to sell. I don't think they're going to. That front office is absolutely delusional about the state of that roster. It continued to be, and they're the 9 seed. So why would they think that they're gonna fall?
What makes me nervous is it's been fucking radio silence from Chicago for over a month. Like the Caruso and Levine stuff, that was a long time ago. We haven't heard anything since then. Like, I'm worried that because they started to win some more games and they started to find their way in the standings, that they're going to be like, okay, maybe we don't need to trade these guys. And Zach's injury makes it tougher now too, because if they were still planning on trading him, injury just makes it worse. But
they should be looking to move to Caruso, man. There's no reason.
Yeah,
we should be looking to move everybody.
We just haven't heard anything about Chicago in forever. Like DeRozan, Vucevic, we haven't heard a peep in so long. So I don't know what's happening.
I think what happened, my guess is what happened is they shot their names around and realized, oh crap, they don't have any. We're not going to get assets back.
I think the fans' perspective of Caruso's value and
I think every single player on that team's value is a lot lower than I'm seeing mock trades go for.
Yeah, people are putting firsts and multiple firsts in for Caruso. Caruso is a really good player, really, really good player. But who's giving up first-round picks for Caruso?
Maybe one protected one.
Maybe a one first.
One first?
Not multiple.
No.
Because remember, like months ago, it was like multiple firsts going out the door for Caruso. And we had to talk about that. It's not happening anymore. And Zach LaVine, there is no market for Zach LaVine. Like, I don't.
It's a lot of money, and it's the same thing I talked about the DeJounte thing.
I'm not exaggerating.
The money thing is the reason why fans who talk about basketball, every single team would love to have Zach LaVine on them. There's not a thing. There's no problem with that. But when you're talking about a $49 million player option in 2026, like, that's a lot of money for not a top 15 player.
Not even a top.
Maybe barely a top 30 player.
This year he hasn't been a top 40 player this year. Like, I'm not going to call Zach LaVine bad, and like I think sometimes his defense stuff is a bit overblown, and like I don't think he's a bad player by any means. Like, his skill set could help a lot of teams, but teams don't want to give up real assets for him, and teams don't want to like commit to that much money for that many years. There is no market for Zach LaVine.
I didn't even know his numbers were this low. 19 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists.
And the optics, and like look and think about the optics of Zach LaVine's season. The Bulls started winning after he got hurt.
Yep.
Like that.
And he showed some attitude things. Like,
yeah, like there's no way his value isn't worse from that. Like
That's
And then
why
he runs into the same issue we talked about earlier with the guard, like
yeah,
at the inflation of how many guards there are in the league. That, like, what does he do that you can't go get for cheaper?
Yeah, obviously the numbers are higher, but if I'm a contender, right? What does he provide for me as my third or fourth option that I can't get for $23 million a year in Terry Rozier?
yeah,
Exactly.
or Brogdon. Like why any teams that need a jolt of offense, I think most of them would just rather have Brogdon or
They don't, yeah, a little
A team
less.
that I
built of
actually
offense is way
think
cheaper.
a team that I
Yeah.
actually think should go and try to get him is the Lakers because they have contracts to move and they need I think 4 years of $40 million for a Zach LaVine player is actually something that they might actually want to consider, considering they're going to be moving on from the LeBron era soon, and they're going to need another star player.
Yeah, maybe it would fit
But
next to AD well. I'll give him that much.
yeah, and I don't think the fit would be that bad overall. I mean, and the package that the Lakers would have to give up is almost nothing. I don't think you're going to have to give up picks.
and they have LeBron, so like you have to go for it if you're the
Yeah.
Lakers.
Like
It's a both win now
D'Lo,
and almost
Rui, and
insurance.
D'Lo, Rui, and Gabe Vincent. Like, Gabe Vincent doesn't even play. D'Lo is D'Lo, and Rui has been horrible.
Zach
Yeah.
Levine is, I think, is an upgrade from what both D'Lo and Rui provide combined.
I agree. Yeah,
With the fact that a bench player or someone else will be given a role to fill Rui.
And they've already
spot.
pretty much committed to the LeBron at point guard type thing this year. They've already said they would be willing to do that. So I think if you roll LeBron, Zach LaVine, Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt, and AD out there,
that's a good team.
Yep.
My thing though is like the Lakers are the only team that actually make sense as a destination and have the contracts and assets necessary to actually make that kind of trade happen for Zach. And even then, like, why wouldn't I don't understand why Zach has to be the answer for them and why they wouldn't just target like Bruce Brown instead or
if you're giving up,
or
if you're actually looking to move
DeJounte
all
Murray.
those guys, like if you're willing to move $40 million in salary, I think you would be better off getting like a Terry Rozier and a Bruce Brown.
Yeah, just do that instead.
Yeah.
It's a better deal.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and I think it's really sucks because I think if Caruso got traded to like Milwaukee or I don't know, Caruso got traded to Milwaukee or Denver or any of these top tier contender teams that need defensive help, I think you're looking at like an amazing roster.
Yeah,
but that's not how it goes. Well, I think we can pretty much wrap up there then. If we got nothing else to go about, appreciate anyone who's made it this far into the episode. We'll be back again next week with with another episode. We'll probably talk more trade stuff because it'll be 1 week closer. We'll be probably about a week away. I think I'm going to be only 2 weeks till the deadline.
It's coming up fast. That's weird.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks. I think the deadline's the 8th.
And All-Star is going to come up before we know it too. Like,
today's the last day for All-Star voting.
It's right around the corner. Yeah,
the Bucks are really trying to get Dame locked into that All-Star starter.
I don't know about that.
See a Lil Wayne post.
Yeah, he's number 3 for fan voting.
Okay.
So isn't there a player vote too for starters though?
It's everybody, as player and coach vote, I think, for starters.
Dude, the players and the coaches do not respect Trae Young at all, man. They do not, dude. It's so bad.
It's crazy.
But yeah, because I guess Dame's never been an All-Star starter. So
he's never been a starter, damn. That's what happens when you see
even in
Northwest.
What about that year that Steph got hurt? Like 2020.
I think it was.
Oh, I remember that was some bullshit. Someone else started. It was like Luka.
I've probably been like Harden and.
Yeah.
That was Dame's like best season too.
Yeah, and it was somewhere I think Harden started over him and didn't deserve.
Yeah,
so I don't remember.
Let me look at it. I'm gonna look it up. But that was 2020, right?
Yeah, that was like Dame's best season too. Surprised he didn't start.
Dame's had a lot of good years, but man,
yeah,
you just don't get the media coverage from
Harden and Luka. That was Luka's first year.
Yeah. Okay,
my
okay, I
God.
remember that.
This
Now.
is
I remember
this
being
is a
mad.
gross. This is a gross Eastern Conference All Stars. This is a gross group of individuals. I want before we go, I want you guys to try to guess some of the names.
I think I know. Was Kemba on there still?
Kemba is the starting point guard. The other guard, can you guess?
close.
It's a guy that we were talking about.
Starter.
He's a good player. It's not like a random
Hmm.
player. He's
Trae.
good this year. Trae Young, yep.
Hmm.
Then the Giannis was the other starter. Embiid was the center. Can you guess the other forward?
This is
Power
what,
forward.
This was when KD was hurt still.
Yep.
And Giannis and Kawhi was already out west.
Yep.
Paul George was already out west.
We just
Pascal.
were talking about this guy. Yep, it's Pascal.
Pascal, wow.
Yeah.
All-star
Can you guess
Ah,
Pascal.
the next backup guard is hilarious.
Oh man.
D'Lo.
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, maybe D'Lo is
Six-time
All.
All-Star.
Lowry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lowry.
As soon as
Kyle
I heard
Lowry.
six-time Lowry, yeah. It's a
The
good
other
one.
guard is a 2-time All-Star.
Huh. Both times in the East.
Doesn't really doesn't play anymore. Not because he's bad. Well, he is bad, but recently traded for a guy that's on the he was traded for a guy that also is on the Western Conference All-Star team.
Brogdon.
No.
Ben Simmons.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
And then
I forgot about Ben
dude.
Simmons.
the rest of the guys are Jimmy, Chris,
Yeah.
Bam, Jason Tatum's first year, and
That all
Sabonis.
checks out though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This
Yeah.
is the year. This is also the year. Yeah, Dame was injured this year anyway, so that's probably why he didn't get moved into the starting lineup.
No, I remember he didn't
I'm
get the
remembering
vote. I remember
this-
I didn't he didn't get the vote.
This All-Star game was good. This was the one in Chicago.
Yeah,
It's the one in Chicago. The first one they did like the new Kobe Bryant rules.
yeah.
Like this was a close game at the end too.
Didn't Dame hit
Yeah.
a buzzer beater or the game winner? I guess, or was that the one where it ended on a free throw?
This was
The-
this
the
one where
80 hit a
AD
free throw, I
hit the
think.
Free throws. This All-Star game one had aura. This
Yeah.
they haven't been this good since then.
This is Chris.
This is a
This is
weird
Chris
thing.
Paul on OKC. He hit the All-Star game too.
Wow.
That was such a good year for OKC.
That was
My
fun.
goodness.
Second year Shea, and that's how Dennis Schroeder got like
Yeah, they run that 3-guard lineup.
that should. Who else is on that team?
Okay.
He
Yeah.
just got traded.
Lou Dort was on that
Not a
team.
big.
Who is on the team? Who just got traded?
Steven Adams was on the team. Isaiah Roby,
Yeah, right there.
Dar-
Roby, that's what I think.
Darius Baisley,
Hold on.
Poku. Wait,
Yeah.
no. I don't know.
Oh, he wasn't a rookie. I thought he was younger than maybe he wasn't.
I don't know.
Oh my God, what is? Hold on. I'm looking.
That team was
Gallinari was on that team too.
Gallo. Okay.
Yep. That was a fun team. They almost beat the Rockets that year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that when Russ was rocking the baby to the like crowd of mothers? Because like it was just the only people in the crowd were like people's like wives and like significant others and like their kids, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that game 7. That's like when Harden like blocked Dort's 3. and then
Oh yeah,
jumped
from
and
behind.
threw it
Yeah.
off him out of bounds. Like I was like, I've never seen Harden do anything like this before. Like he made a hustle play, 2 hustle plays in a
Hustle play.
row. I was like, man, James Harden.
Yeah, Harden was on in that game. Gosh,
Mhm.
that was a good year of basketball. Actually, no, it wasn't. Not for me. Not as a Bucks fan. It was not.
That was the Heat.
Giannis rolls his ankle in game 2, and
Yeah.
but Giannis won the DPOY and MVP that year. So,
Mhm.
hey, if anybody is still listening to this, go and look at the basketball reference page for the 2019-2020 Milwaukee Bucks. Look at that roster and then get back to me on how the hell that team was on a 70 win pace.
They were terrible. No offense to them,
But they were bad.
They had, like,
Eric
two good
Bledsoe, my
players.
starting point guard.
DiVincenzo, right?
DiVincenzo was playing still. Yeah, dude. Bad team. Bad team. 70 win pace. That's what when people talk about Giannis' MVPs, I'm like, dude, the impact he was having on both sides of the ball in his 2 MVP years was absolutely
And he still does to this day. So
he just doesn't care about defense as much anymore, which pisses me off. But
yeah, but it's also his body can't take it. It's tiring.
Yeah.
It's like it's a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will appreciate anyone who has made it to this end. A little bit of a bonus part talk there.
Yep.
Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Go
check out Who Has Hoops as always.
Yeah, go check out all the links down in the bio, and we'll see you later. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.